Welcome to the orientation video of Hobby Basics. The Hobby Basics 100 series is a 6-part online learning series focused on teaching you the fundamentals of the miniature painting hobby in the format of a college-level art class, giving you information, demonstrations, and homework between classes to practice your skills. These videos will be released monthly and are designed to be consumed 1 month at a time. However, if you're watching these in the future and multiple videos are already out, feel free to consume these at whatever pace you would like. Over the next few videos, I'm going to be teaching you what I think are the essential skills for miniature painting. I'm going to assume no prior knowledge of art, painting, miniatures, anything. And I'm going to be giving you what I think are the absolute basics, which is why it's called Hobby Basics. In each class, we're going to be focusing on a handful of hobby tools and the various ways which you can use them. We're going to be going in order, with each class building upon the previous one. Class number 1 will be about model preparation and assembly. Class number 2 will be about priming, basic brush technique, and a little bit of underpainting. Class number 3 will be about further brush techniques and finishing our first set of models. Classes 4, 5, and 6 will each be focused on a unique set of models. I've selected these models so that we will be practicing common techniques which I want you to have in your toolkits, such as painting flesh, different types of armor, object source lighting, basing, and a few other techniques yet, which by the end of this series, my goal is to have set you up with all of the fundamentals for painting, as well as a basic hobby toolkit which you can use to paint virtually anything. Like I said before, this class assumes no prior knowledge and that you don't yet own any miniatures or hobby supplies. Much like any regular college-level art class, you're going to be required to buy a few of your own art supplies. But unlike most college courses that I've taken, you're not going to be required to spend a lot of money, and you're not going to be required to spend all of that money up front. Instead, for each video, I'm going to be giving you a supply list which will not exceed $30 USD per video. While I was considering doing an even lower budget and calling this video Hobby Budget Basics, I decided I don't want to recommend hobby tools that aren't going to serve you 10 years from now. So what I'm going to be recommending are what I think are the essential tools which will also last you for a very long time. So in some ways, this is also going to be my Ultimate Starter Kit series, where I recommend what I think is the ultimate starter kit for miniatures painting. For example, Hobby Basics 101 will require clippers, a hobby knife, some glue, and black primer. Hobby Basics 102 is going to require some white primer, 2 types of paint, and a basic set of brushes in addition to everything from the first video. Hobby Basics 103 is going to require everything from those first 2 videos in addition to a few extra paints and supplies. So you can kind of see how this works. Each video is going to be building upon the supplies that we have from the previous videos, and we're going to be gradually building your toolkit and gradually building up your skills. If you're an intermediate painter and you already have a few hobby tools, you may already have a lot of the stuff I'm recommending in these videos, so you probably will need to spend even less. In addition to the tools and supplies that I'm going to be recommending here, you're going to need a few things from around the house. Things such as a desk and an okay lighting situation, whether that's daylight or a desk lamp. You'll need things like a jar for your paint water, some paper towels. There may be a few other things which I think most people will have in their house, and if you don't, would only cost a few dollars at a store or something. The models that I have chosen to paint in this entire series are all from the wargame Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Specifically, in our first few lessons, we're going to be painting 3 of the Stormcast Eternals, which are sort of the main characters for that wargame. However, in the 4th, 5th, and 6th episodes, we will be focusing on a different set of models for each of those videos. There are a few reasons that I've chosen Age of Sigmar models, and specifically the Stormcast to start out with. And the first of those reasons is availability and price. The models that I'm going to be recommending that you use for the first 3 videos are available in a $15 starter set, which I think is a pretty low price point for miniatures. It contains 3 models, and these 3 models are also available in a wide variety of other combo bundles and starter sets, including the first issue of the Mortal Realms subscription service, the Storm Strike box set, and I'm sure probably some other places I'm not even aware of. Anyway, the point is, I think I've chosen what I think are some of the most available models in the model range, and one of the most widely available games, which you can find in sometimes even art stores and bookstores. I've designed this course so that you only have to buy the minimum amount of models. However, you could use these same techniques that we're using on these few models to paint an entire army if you wanted to. The second reason is the variety of texture and color. These Stormcast models, as well as a few of the other models that I've chosen, feature a wide variety of different textures and colors. Here are just a few of the different materials and textures that we're going to be learning to paint in this series. The third reason that I've chosen Age of Sigmar for our demonstration models is that they have a built-in game that you can play with them, which only requires a few different models on each side. For example, if you were to buy just a few more models than the ones I recommend in this guide, you would have enough models to play Age of Sigmar Warcry, which is a skirmish game which I think is actually a lot of fun. And eventually, if you kept painting models and you had enough of them, you could use all of these models for the main Age of Sigmar game, which is a war game where you capture large objectives on the tabletop. In addition to this, I've chosen mostly what I think are generic fantasy figures, aside from the Stormcast Eternals, that could be used in a lot of different role-playing games, including Dungeons & Dragons and games like that. So if you found this video and you're hoping to paint miniatures for your role-playing game like Dungeons & Dragons, I think you're going to find that I'm going to be covering a lot of basic fantasy archetypes in this series, which you might find helpful in painting your own miniatures for your home games. I will be releasing the first video very soon, and after that I'm going to be releasing these videos on a monthly schedule. If this sounds interesting to you and you want to prepare for the class ahead of time, here are the initial supplies you will need for video number 1. I provided some links down below to versions of these tools that I recommend. These tools, I'm required to say, are affiliate links. So when you click on them and you buy something, I get a cut of that money. I just have to put that on here, so that's a disclaimer. However, you can purchase many of these tools for even cheaper at your local hobby store, hardware store, or if they have them in your country, a dollar store, like we have here in Canada. Before we go, I'd like to thank all of my generous patrons for funding this course. One of the initial goals on my Patreon was to make a budget hobby series, which would be catered to beginners. So this is the fulfillment of that goal, which was funded by Patreon. So thank you so much to all the patrons who have funded this goal. If you'd like to see your name up here, or you'd like to get access to extra footage or painted miniatures, you can go and subscribe at patreon.com/DanaHowl. Or if you'd like to follow my painting progress, you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Dana_Howl. Thank you for watching all the way through the course orientation, and I hope you will join me in this hobby class that I have planned for you.